Square Enix's much-anticipated RPG remake is likely to release in the next year, so here's everything you need to know about it: the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Watch live video from Square Enix on www.twitch.tv. Square Enix's pre-E3 briefing conference is set to go live today, following on from some remarkably strong showings from the likes of EA, Microsoft and Bethesda. The developer has some of the biggest franchises in gaming under its belt, as well as years of history at its disposal to make gamers old and young subject to all the feels during its presentation. From Final Fantasy to Tomb Raider, Square Enix has been releasing games to Western and international audiences for years, often to critical acclaim. The company also won the Avengers license a few years back, too, and this year we're likely to see our first proper look at the highly anticipated Avengers game the company is working on. Expect this year's Square Enix E3 briefing to be one that goes down in history. One of the games that'll add to that historical show would be more information about Final Fantasy VII Remake. The game has been pretty quiet for some time now, and the company has been publishing a little more information about the game recently, hinting that we might soon see something else emerge about the title. The remake is due to be released in episodes, so it could be that we'll have a rough release window for the first episode at E3. High hopes, but you never know. Square Enix this year confirmed that its pre-show E3 briefing will begin on Monday, June 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. British Summer Time, 7 p.m. Central Europe Summer Time. You can see the live stream embedded above. Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to PS4, although Square Enix is yet to reveal the release date. An interview with the director of Final Fantasy VII Remake, Yoshinori Kitase, has surfaced, revealing the developer originally thought that the much-anticipated RPG would take about 10 years to make. According to the interview with Tech Digest, Kitase took his experience from the development of Final Fantasy XIII to generate the number. An excerpt from the interview reads, "But even Final Fantasy XIII has taken over 3.5 years to create. If we were to recreate Final Fantasy VII with the same level of graphical detail as you see in Final Fantasy XIII, we'd imagine that would take as much as 3 or 4 times longer than the 3.5 years it has taken to put this Final Fantasy together. So it's looking pretty unrealistic. But if any such situation came about by any remote chance, then yes, we'd do it." It's worth remembering, however, that development of the 7 remake has since been moved to Unreal Engine 4, an engine known to speed things up for developers, and something we are seeing more and more Japanese teams move to. It's also worth remembering that Final Fantasy VII Remake is planned to release in episodes, meaning we could likely see a playable part of the game released before the whole supposed decade-long development cycle is complete. Want to know more? Keep reading to discover everything we know about the Final Fantasy VII Remake so far. Square Enix Final Fantasy VII Remake, release date, PS4 gameplay trailer, story and E3 2018 news updates. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a remake of the 1997 Japanese RPG, Final Fantasy VII. The game has been requested by fans of the original for a while, and in 2015 developer and publisher Square Enix announced it had begun work of a full-blown remake of the title. The game is being made by Square Enix, and originally had help from developer CyberConnect 2. This relationship was terminated in May 2017, however, and the publisher moved full development of the title in-house, under the direction of Naoki Hamaguchi, director of Mobius Final Fantasy. The team is dedicated to building a solid product, and in a stream talking about the project, Hamaguchi stated, "In view of factors such as improving quality, when the product goes into mass production in the future, the company has decided to shift the developmental system back to within the company, so as to maintain a stable schedule and have control over factors such as quality." The game is also due to be released in different parts. Some gamers theorize that these parts will be segmented in the same way the game was broken up into discs in the original PlayStation release. The gameplay will be different to what we've seen from the original game. Combat could be more action-focused if the trailers we've seen so far are to be believed. Brought to you by dailystar.co.uk. In view of factors such as improving quality when the product goes into mass production in the future, the company has decided to shift the developmental system back to within the company, so as to maintain a stable schedule and have control over factors such as quality. Square Enix CEO Yosuke Matsuda made the announcement as he told investors that the company would be making release date announcements for upcoming games between April 2018 and E3 2018 in June. Via Gaming Bolt, despite Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake not being mentioned by name, these are two of the biggest titles Square Enix has announced, and that are upcoming for the Xbox One and PS4. It's worth noting, however, that Square Enix is also working on a series of Marvel properties for Disney. It's unlikely these games are due to be released, however, considering they've barely been announced yet. It's interesting to note that Square Enix is also taking note of the Nintendo Switch, too. In the same earnings call, Matsuda announced that the Switch is well-suited to the mid-sized titles at which we excel. Import specialist Play Asia previously listed the Final Fantasy VII Remake release date as this December, before turning it to be announced. This could well be an admin error, but it perhaps suggests that the game is due for release sooner than we thought. Elsewhere, GameSeek lists the title as having a very specific release date. The retailer claims that Final Fantasy VII Remake will release on the 15th of June 2018. That seems too specific to be a simple placeholder. That isn't the end of GameSeek's revelations about the game. The site also has artwork we haven't seen at any other retailer to date, showing off the now classic Comet artwork the game has become known for. This suggests the site does have more intel on the game than other retailers, backing up that release date that's listed. The Final Fantasy VII Remake received some interesting news this week. The game's developer, Square Enix, published a new job listing last week which seemed to ask for a level planner for the upcoming RPG. Gamatsu translated the job advert, and you can read it below. We are examining programs that implement general functions and contents for Final Fantasy VII Remake as necessary on the development team, and while we are reaching a satisfactory level in terms of reproducing the original title in high-quality graphics, we have come to the conclusion that we should aim for even higher quality in order to meet the expectations of fans. That said, we will tackle the production of this big title by establishing core members of various positons such as level planner, battle planner, designer, engineer, etc., including existing members of the development team. Interested applicants are expected to work as a core member. The bad news is if they're hiring core members of the team at this stage in the development, it suggests the title isn't remotely close to completion. Level planning tends to be an early part of development, too, hinting that it's going to be a long time before we see much more of this game. Related articles. February 11, the development team behind Final Fantasy VII Remake has apparently made some massive changes to the game recently. Reports from fans in attendance at the Final Fantasy 30th anniversary event have stated that many elements of the game we've seen so far, in the trailers below, have been changed. This includes the overall design of protagonist Cloud Strife, whose appearance has reportedly been altered to be more in line with his original appearance in the PS1 version of Final Fantasy VII. Square Enix's Tetsuya Nomura stated this new design for Cloud is the closest one to the original up until now. Other attendees at the event note characters look different to their original interpretations. Biggs looks super handsome, Jessie cute, and Wedge refreshingly chubby. New screenshots were shared at the event too, but fans in attendance also said that Square Enix are not expected to be sharing these new screenshots to the public for a while. The game is confirmed for release on PS4, however, Nintendo Switch fans have been given a big boost about a possible release. Hajime Tabata, director of Final Fantasy XV, previously said that tests had been carried out to see how the Unreal Engine 4 performed on the Switch. This is the engine that powers the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and he said Nintendo's hybrid console handled it well. And now Square Enix, during their latest financial results briefing, have talked about their plans for the Switch. According to Gamatsu, the Japanese gaming giant said they saw the core architectures of PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch as similar, meaning that if one game saw a release on one console, it's very possible it could come to others, too. Square Enix added that they had high expectations for the Nintendo Switch, and would aggressively pursue development. They added that they would not rule out any IPs, new, existing or even revivals, for the Nintendo Switch. Stay tuned for more details throughout 2018. Related articles.